Hi guys, I decided just now to make this little tutorial to show you how I determine how to measure my wire, how long I want it. It mostly depends on what size bead I'm going to use and if I'm going to use a lot of like little leaves. So this right here is a 5.5-inch hoop. So what I do is I take my wire and I say, okay, that much right here. Make sure you can see. For roots, it is generous. We don't need that much, but I don't like to have short wire. And then we bring it to the top. Then, I say about this much for twisting out branches, and then a little wee bit more for the trunk. Now, take that and fold it in half and take a look. Now, you get a better idea. Make sure you can see this much for roots because it's a bigger hoop. So let's say that much for roots. And if I cut it right here, this should leave me enough for branches, leaves on my branches. What I'm going to do right now is just measure this, and I'll be right back. Hang on, guys. That measures 19 inches. I would say 20 because I can't work with short wire. Now, let's try it one more time, the same one, just to see if I have a difference. A lot of my tutorials, I don't use the same length wire for each. I could make 5 different 5-inch or 5.5-inch hoops and every time use a different length wire. It depends if I'm using scrap wire. It depends on how I'm gonna twist. If I'm gonna make clusters, extra leaves, just string, the size of the beads, it all matters. But we'll say that much right here for the root. We'll be generous. And that's the tree. Now, add for the branches and then twisting the trunk. I'm going to measure this again and we'll see how long this one is. Okay, so if I fold this one in half, I'm looking at 20 inches on a 5.5-inch hoop. Is that long? It is, definitely. You don't need that much. I am comfortable cutting it that long because I don't like to use short wire. My hands just don't like it. So for a 5.5-inch hoop, this is 20. Take into consideration your root, your tree, and then little leaves, if you want to add little leaves. I rather have extra than not enough. If you run into a situation and you don't have enough, I did create a playlist to help you fix it. Okay, so now we'll try a different one. This is a 4-inch, and I have many 4-inch tutorials, and they all have different length wire. So just for the sake of it, today we're gonna add our root right about that much, and then we're gonna go to the top. We're gonna put a lot of little leaves on this one, and then the trunk. Let's fold this in half and take a look. We have from here down the root, then the tree, and if we cut it right here, that to me is a little bit short for the trunk and the branches for me. So I will add just a tiny bit more and look at it again. For the root, come up here for your trunk and then leave some to twist. Now what I'm going to do is measure this one and we'll see what we come up with. This one, oops, sorry about that, is 14 inches. And I think that's about accurate for what I have done in a 4-inch hoop. You can go up or down depending on the bead and how many leaves that you actually want to use. Now, this one, a bracelet. Ordinarily for the bracelet, I suggest 12 wires, 12 inches long. How I come up with that, there's your, can you see? Okay, there's your root, and then your tree, a little bit for the trunk, and then a little bit more for your branches. Now fold it in half and take a look at it. There's your root. Then you go up for your trunk a little bit, because I don't do leaves. That could be enough. Now I'm going to measure this just exactly as this is. Actually, that come back at 11 inches, and I always say 12, or usually I say 12. So that's how I measure. Every tree, I could do 5 4-inch hoops and give you 5 different lengths of wire. What you need to really do is take into consideration the size of your bead, and also remind yourself to twist with the longest wire, and take into consideration how much wire you need to wrap it around and not come up short, but not make it difficult. My hands are old and it gets very difficult. I hope this helps, and I will see you tomorrow, guys. Good night.